Happy Friday, America, and thanks again for joining us right here on the Discussion Combustion Production YouTube channel. There's been a lot of unique shows coming out this week, of course, with Mr. Arthur Raw being over in Sweden. But you know what? The show must go on. My name is Kevin Batstone, pushing some buttons here, running the ones and twos. We have a special guest host this week on Happy Friday, America. Joining me now across the table, of course, Mr. Clint, the healthy investor, Gershenson.
How's it going, everybody? Happy Friday, or should I say Fulfilled Friday, because that actually brings me to my first article, which is finding happiness, strike through, but finding fulfillment instead. Having this subtle shift in perspective can change your whole outlook on life, according to Men's Health. So basically, the article goes through different ways we can utilize different techniques to start finding fulfillment in life versus finding happiness. Think about it. America is always chasing this happiness, and most of America is sitting here depressed, whether it's our food or whether it's chasing big highs and never getting them, or for those that are successful out there that are still not happy, it's essentially chasing that happiness that we can never really see.
Yeah. Well, we live in a world, too, where I think, which we've talked about a lot in this program, Clint, just social media, so many things. People are constantly looking for a high, for fulfillment, for happiness, as you alluded to, from things outside of probably just getting back to the basics. I haven't read this article in its entirety, but it looks like you've highlighted some bullet points here of kind of what stand out for the happiness fulfillment side.
Right. I mean, one thing that was touted throughout the article was the small wins versus big wins. I know me personally, I chase a lot of the big wins, and a lot of times I get them. I get the promotion, I get the new job, I get the salary raise, I get an exciting thing, but yet it's not 100% fulfilling, right? Mm-hmm. It's essentially like a drug where you're just chasing this high.
More and more.
Yeah, like when I got out of the military, I was like, 100K, that's my goal. I'm going to make $100,000 a year. I'm going to be super happy. Then I hit it, and I'm like, 110, then 120, and then just kept jumping and jumping, and then at some point you realize, okay, money's not going to make you happy. And then at the end of the day, we just don't want to always be happy. We want to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of working so hard at your day job and bringing it into the night, maybe start volunteering, do stuff like that, and try to fill other people's cups versus your own cup and being selfish.
So where would one begin that journey, Clint, if they're sitting there going, well, I'm pretty even keeled with my 100K a year job, we got a decent car in the driveway, we got some things, but they're not feeling completely fulfilled. They're still missing something.
Well, right, like focusing on daily rituals for fulfillment. I know one practice that I would like to do a lot more of that I kind of neglect would be like gratitude journaling. I mean, it's not like a Dear Diary thing, but in the morning, write 3 things out that you're grateful for. You can incorporate that as a family at the dinner table, have your kids there, everyone, what are you thankful for today, or what are you grateful for? And then you're starting to retrain your brain to be a little bit more gratitude focused than focusing on things that are super out in the future or being sucked in by your past. Like, we got to live in the present. We don't know what tomorrow will bring. There was also an interesting quote that I heard at my church, actually, surprisingly, but is if you can't be happy with what you have, you'll never be happy with what you get.
It's a great quote.
So you got to look at, what do you have? All right, you have a car, 4 wheels, check. This is awesome. It's running fine. Instead of chasing like the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis or the Teslas, which I'm guilty of. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, you got to live in the right now and find that gratitude. Go for the small wins versus chasing intense big wins. You got to let go of the past. And you got to recognize the difference between like loneliness and solitude. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's nice to live in solitude, but don't mistake that for being lonely. So go hang out with your friends, fill other people's buckets.
Yeah, so I like it.
Pretty thought-provoking.
Yeah, good read there for sure, Clint. So for all the viewers, scroll down, click the link in the show notes down below to go to that full article. A lot of good juice, just a good kind of, not even a refresher, but just something to kind of think about for the day-to-day folks out there. Great article there for Men's Health. And one of the things we were talking about, Clint, was electric vehicles.
Yes, sir.
Electric vehicles, kind of a big thing. Being a race guy, I've talked a lot about my position on EVs. Well, Ford has decided that they're going to pull it back, and we're seeing this happen a lot now in the EV world, Clint. You are a proud owner of a Tesla. I mean, great car. You took me out in that thing. It put me back in the seat. I have a lot of respect for the EVs, but it seems like now there's so much inventory out in the market right? And there's not enough sales, not enough consumers for EVs. And so Ford's looking at this from a standpoint of, well, we probably should kind of pump the brakes here on this, reshift. I don't think EVs took off the way that we expected them to in the last decade.
Yeah, I personally enjoy the Tesla, but I don't enjoy other EVs. So I agree with Ford, Toyota, everyone else pulling back on their EVs because Tesla has the market share. They have the software, and it's just nice. You get in the vehicle. It's very minimalist, but yet it does the job, and it's very entertaining. I was waiting for you in the parking lot, and I was playing Castle Doomsbat or whatever it's called.
Yeah, you were doing something out there.
Yeah, it was just fun to play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now we can turn that into a plug for Tesla there, Clint.
Right.
But yeah, I think, look, Ford, they've been in a spotlight a lot over the years as far as Motor City and not taking the bailout years ago. And Ford's always been under a lot of scrutiny as being kind of carrying the torch for American vehicles. So, it made sense why Chevy, Ford, all these guys were kind of tasked with putting out an EV that could technically, I don't know about compete with Tesla, because Tesla's just its own beast. It's hard to take, you think Ford and you think economy vehicles, you think diesel pickup trucks. You don't really see them in the EV world, but they're trying to get, dip their pen in all the ink that they can. So, Ford, I'm a Ford guy, always have been. They're going to do what they need to do. They came out with, on the racing side, Ford Racing Family, and they said basically any EV that we have at this point is prototype, and it's for demonstration purposes, but they don't really see any EVs going into competition anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, Ford in general, I like Toyota trucks over Ford trucks, but I know that's...
You like the Tundras?
I do, and the Tacomas even.
The Toyota Taco?
The Taco, yeah. They are now hybrid, but everyone's kind of leaning towards hybrid vehicles now and investing in better, more efficient engines versus...
I think
Ford.
behind hybrids. Hybrids to me make sense, right? Because you're basically cashing in on both sides. You're not strictly relying on lithium batteries, and you're not strictly relying on fossil fuels. So you're kind of dipping in on both sides there.
Yeah, I got the family wagon that allows me to do the Subaru, which is, but the big Subaru, so it's a gas sucker. And then I have the electric vehicle, so it's like a good balance.
And it drives itself.
It drives itself.
Do you really trust the self-drive that much, though?
Today I did, through traffic, all the way to, my appointments and everything like that. It got me to where I needed to get. My wife
gets a little hairy
had,
at times, though. Huh?
Yeah, much success with it. It was awkward when I tried to show you it, and it
was like racing through the parking lot.
Race through the parking lot going 55 miles an hour.
Slamming on the brake at the stop signs.
Yeah, and hopefully at some point they'll refine it. It's been crazy.
There hasn't been too many errors though that I've seen as far as like accidents with the self-drive.
Yeah,
they've been blowing up on the highway, but they haven't quite been running into each other.
Right. They try to go full send into a brick wall so that you can't testify against them, and they can blame it on something else. I'm just kidding. That's false news.
Wide open.
Yeah.
Well, EVs are always going to be a big topic and are certainly not going anywhere. And another thing that's not going anywhere, Clint, is AI. AI is here to stay, and it's really taken over a lot of things. You have more on the healthcare side.
Yeah, so in the Wall Street Journal, they recently published an article, What AI Can Do in Healthcare and What It Should Never Do. And this article was very reassuring for those in healthcare that AI is not going to take your job, but it will reduce the burden for healthcare administrators, whether it's generating first drafts or clinical notes. I mean, at my current job, we use it for note taking during meetings, and it does a fairly good job at transcription with little error, right? So it knows who's talking, and that could be quite helpful in the AI or in the healthcare industry. There's a lot of challenges in AI development, though. The article did bring up AI trains itself eventually, but really requires a person to be involved at the forefront in the development. And their unconscious biases are the ones that go in there. So if someone is, let's say, a white male that is programming this, they might miss out on issues that are in the healthcare industry that are affecting women, or those of like Native American descent. AI and diagnostic support. Fun fact here. So I'm like 3 weeks post cancer surgery. I got back in March. I had I found a lump on my throat in my thyroid region. Went to the doctor. They said, yeah, sure, it's probably nothing. Let's go to get you an ultrasound. Did the ultrasound. My doctor said, oh, the results are fine. Let's just go ahead and check back in a year. I took those results and I uploaded into AI. And I said, AI Copilot, make sure you check recent studies. What's the prevalence that this could be cancer? And they pointed out that the calcification and the solidity in the tumor were potential risk factors to actually not go with the recommendation from the radiologist, but to potentially do a biopsy. Would be my next recourse. But then, with the caveat, consult a doctor. I already consulted a doctor, right? So now I'm augmenting it with AI. AI recommends a little bit more of a thorough screening, so I went with it. Got the biopsy a month later. Those results came in suspicious. I uploaded it to AI again. They recommended genetic screening of the tumor, which was the same thing that the doctor recommended. So, hey, that worked out well. They matched up. Long story short, it was cancer. AI helped, honestly, take my test results and push me for intervention versus like waiting a year, and it could potentially grow, spread, do whatever. But happy to say I'm cancer free. 3 weeks later. But
that's
AI
worth celebrating.
Was super helpful in that. So I found this article interesting and good segue after going to the doctor's appointment today.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. And so your personal experience is you're almost advocating for AI in that sense because you saw some positive effects from it as far as the information it gave you.
Right.
What it was able to look at, determine. I mean, it's not telling you how to live or what to do. It's just kind of telling you what it's seeing.
At some point. So there's other things. Like I have high cholesterol, and you put that in and you say, hey, I have high cholesterol and I have I don't have high blood pressure, but I have like high blood pressure. I'm at risk for cancer and I have these genes. What should I be doing on a day-to-day? And they'll say, hey, here's a good diet plan. Here's a workout. And they're like, my knee's injured. I can't do that workout. Here's an alternative. So you can have this conversation with this in your pocket healthcare advocate, but at the same time, yes, it's AI, but if you're using like GPT-4 or above or 4.5, they're pulling right from the web when you can pull like peer-reviewed journals, scientific journals, stuff like that, and it reads it a lot faster than a human does. So augmenting a human is where I see AI being the most successful versus taking over a human.
I mean, that makes sense. I've never thought of it from that perspective. But can it get to a point though where it is kind of threatening, old school medicine or maybe the approach? Because like you mentioned here, a lot of doctors might look at this and go, oh, you can't trust AI, this and that and the other. There's got to be some pushback, I think, from the medical industry on it. Is it a threat to those guys?
Yeah, I would say if it's used appropriately, it could augment, but it can't replace. You can't replace the thousands and thousands of hours of training that a medical doctor goes through, or a nurse practitioner, or just a nurse, or whatever. Like, these people can't be replaced, especially like bedside manner, because AI doesn't necessarily get it right. I mean, try to have it do a math equation, and you're like, that doesn't add up. Why doesn't this? Oh, sorry about that. It doesn't add up because of this.
AI can make mistakes.
Yeah, AI makes mistakes. It can.
Just like human.
And it will.
Yeah.
But you'll think it's truth. So you just have to realize it's not the Terminator. It's not our enemy, but it's, we could augment our own intelligence.
Yeah. We just have to, I think, use it at our own discretion, not take anything, full send, face value.
No.
It's just it's a tool. It's an added tool. It's a tool. And a resource.
Right. It's a tool. Right. You're not going to use a hammer to hammer in a screw.
Fair. And if you asked ChatGPT that, how do I hammer in this screw? Hopefully it's going to say, maybe you should grab a Phillips or a flathead.
Maybe.
Or
maybe it won't.
Maybe
right?
it'll tell you to just hammer it in.
We need years of experience. So I don't think it's going anywhere, but I do think that it can help in certain areas.
Well, we've certainly seen the positive effects of it in certain areas. I'm just curious because it's still it's pretty new, realistically. Like when I talk AI, I think the first AI that really integrated in our life was spell check. That was like one of the first times where
Clippy.
The little paperclip guy that would come up and he's like, hey, and Microsoft Word.
They should bring back Clippy.
God, that is kind of a throwback, isn't it? I remember Clippy. He'd be like, hey, I can help you do this. He's like, it looks like we can clean this up a little bit.
That's actually a huge miss because you have Microsoft Copilot. It should have been Microsoft Clippy.
I mean, they did kind of have the rights to that name.
Right.
Microsoft owned it. And
then it would bring it back for all us millennials out there using Millennium Edition and all the different...
Oh, Windows ME.
Yeah.
Remember that?
The
startup sounds.
I have a hill by my house that reminds me of the background. I don't know if it was ME, but...
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
Or is it XP?
It had like a really green... It was like a gateway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember the gateway
right
computers.
by my house, and I'm like...
Yep. Nice green grass, hills, blue skies, and a cloud. I can picture it. I think that was everybody's desktop from about 1999 to 2002.
Yeah, mine changed all the time. Or you would try to do like the infinity.
Oh, yeah.
Windows.
And wait for it to hit exactly in the corner, but it never did. You ever see that episode of The Office where they get really excited about that? Where they're watching the screensaver bounce and they're trying to get it to hit perfectly at the corner of the screen? We all wanted that. We're all rooting for it.
I think at some point it probably would do it. I mean, AI would be able to solve for that. See, that's
it would tell you how many times
would it need if it,
to get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. AI still kind of threatens me.
Screensavers. I don't even think they're even used anymore.
Well,
screens
probably not
in.
because all the LCD screens and whatnot now don't really need. They don't have is it the crystal definition? There's something in the old monitors that needed screensavers so it wouldn't burn the image in permanently.
Did you ever use a magnet?
Oh, on the monitor?
On like an old TV screen.
The color sucker, as we called it.
And you would try to like move the magnet.
Yeah, I do remember doing that. Like the old Ataris and the old school video game systems, people would set that on top of their big mega box TV, and it would just suck the color right out of it. All the magnets in it.
Speaking of Atari, though, I got this NES. I know we're deviating, but we'll get back on it. But I got this Nintendo NES World Championship Edition. Which lets you do like world records, and I beat, not in a world record, but I beat the not Super Mario, the first Mario, right?
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers.
All that stuff. I beat it in like 12 minutes or something, or like 11 minutes and something, like end to end.
Wow.
I felt really good about it, and I got like a B. But it's fun trying to compete on that video game for like world records, which that's probably segues pretty good into.
That does segue pretty well. I love the video game talk, and I also love David Rush. This man, I know I was telling you a little bit about him off air before we went on. For our other Happy Friday viewers going all the way back to Happy Friday Denver, we've been following David Rush on his pursuit to take over Sylvia Saba for the most congruent held Guinness Book of World Records. So, as I was mentioning, the crazy records that this guy has done, all you got to do is type David Rush into Google or scroll down in the show notes and click the link to this, and you can see what this man has done. Just a good old boy from Idaho. He's like, man, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to full-time commit to breaking records. So the one that did it, I know everyone's been waiting anxiously. What's he going to do? What's going to be the record that puts him as the most? Well, he smashed the most vinyl records, Clint, in 30 seconds.
What was the number? Do you know?
We're going to have to go into this and watch the video of it because he did post the video that's been certified by Guinness. Because the last time we were here, we were waiting on the certification. He went to London to try to break 15 in a day. Still waiting to hear back on that because that's the thing. These guys, you and I could break records right now, Clint, for most talked about AI, whatever, right? And then Guinness would have to come behind that, verify it, review the film. There's so many things that go into it now. So you can't just say, oh, okay, he's got the record now because he jumped the most hula hoops.
So that's interesting. He broke the record by breaking records.
He broke the record by breaking records. That sounds like a punk rock thing.
Right.
Which
in turn, yeah. I used to read the Guinness Book of World Records when I was a kid.
Oh, it was great. You go to the library and look at it.
Right, like every book fair, I would always end with either the paper copy and then they eventually
the hard copy
and started putting a lot of pictures.
The old days.
Yeah, those were. I could smell the
the library and the. I remember going in and getting because it was a big shiny book. You'd get this big. It was like the year before. It was like Guinness Book of World Records 2000. I remember it was a big one, a big silver, sparkling, shiny book.
Right, I remember that.
And you're like going through this thing. This was almost 25 years ago, Clint, because we're old farts now. And now it's just everything's at our fingertips.
That was like the first time I ever did research. Really, I would compare the 2020 versus the 1999 versus the 1998.
Oh yeah.
Like, all right, this record was, this person ate 50 tacos in 1 minute, 52, and like you would see this like progression.
Yeah. Yeah, Guinness definitely. I don't know. I don't think are they as big as they once were. I guess they are. I mean,
probably not in schools anymore. I'd imagine.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like it's much of an academic thing, but it was. It was cool back when we would do that. What was it? The Scholastic Book Fair.
Yeah.
You go through and check off the shit you wanted, and like you said, Guinness book all day long, all day strong. Give me that.
Yeah, I recently did the Scholastic Book Fair when my kids were in public school. I did it once, I think, and it was asinine, the price. I was like, were our parents paying this much markup for the fair?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably. There's always been a market for that. All right, Clint, we're going to keep it moving to the Would You Rather segment. This is always Arthur Ra's little baby here.
Boy.
Going back to last week's Would You Rather, and Clint, you can chime in on this if you haven't already. Over on our Twitter X poll there, that's at HappyFryUSA, Twitter X, or just drop a comment below. Last week we asked the viewers, basically, would you rather be a wolf or a lion? America went 50-50 on this one, Clint. They went 50-50. I took the wolf, which was kind of surprising because I've always said my spirit animal is a lion, but we kind of got jostling back and forth. I took the wolf on this, the lone wolf.
Easy. Wolf hunts in packs, so they're a part of a community. They're not always starving. I feel like lions are hot and starving all the time.
That is a good point because they're out in the the Safaran desert, laying out there in the heat. But they're still the fierce predator of the jungle. They're the king of the jungle.
But they're barely in the jungle.
It's true.
They're more on like the savannah. And
just the wide open. The wide open. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, a wolf versus a lion in a fight, or the lion all day.
But a pack of wolves versus one lion.
That's a
just
little
like
different.
A pack of hyenas.
Yeah, that's you travel in packs. But a lone wolf versus just a desert lion, I got to take the lion in that fight. He's just stronger.
Sure, but the stronger person or the stronger animal
doesn't always win.
Yeah, might not be the most happiest or the most fulfilled.
That's
right?
true.
Or have the most stomach fullness.
That's true. That is a good point. That is a good point. Well, so we're going to move it to this week's Would You Rather. Arthur Ra chiming in now from Sweden. He's over there on a little bit of a vacation. He sent us in a video, Clint.
Happy Friday. Checking in from Stockholm, Sweden. Had to hit you with this week's Would You Rather. In both scenarios, you have abundant wealth. In the first one, you have your dream home. You could live in any city and state, but you have to stay there for the rest of your life. You cannot leave like a 30-mile radius of your dream home. So that's the first option. Second option, still have abundant wealth, and you can live wherever you want, but you can only stay there for a maximum of 6 months. So you constantly have to move every 6 months, but you could have the dopest apartment, everything's taken care of. You got abundant wealth. So which one are you going to choose? Are you going to choose staying in one place, big mansion, whatever you want for the rest of your life? Or are you going to select only being able to live in a place for 6 months at a time? Both abundant wealth, both options. Let us know on X and Twitter. Leave a comment below. Hope everyone's enjoying the episode. Let's get back to it.
Okay, hold on.
There was a lot there, Clint.
There's so much. I'm finishing my notes because this is the most complicated Would You Rather that I've ever heard. All right.
Thanks, Art, for that.
Yeah.
Appreciate you making it a
All
little
right,
difficult
I think
for
I've
us.
made a decision.
What do you got, Clint? I'll let you take the lead on this one.
I would live in one place for my entire life.
But you can't travel outside of...
Was that in the notes?
Yeah, but he said like 30 miles. So you can still go get your groceries, go to the movie theater, but you can't go on like vacations to the beach or whatever unless you happen to reside on the beach. But yeah, the idea is you have your perfect home, but you can't really go outside of your neighborhood and your community.
All right, I got it. So I'm going to do the one where you move every 6 months.
I'm taking that one too.
Except I'm buying an entire building.
And you just
of
move
units,
down the building?
And then I'll just move to each floor, to each room.
That's pretty clever.
And then I can travel. I could do whatever I want. I still have the abundant wealth. And I'm still building community. I feel like community is something that lacks in a lot of people's lives. So I enjoy living in one area where you can rely on neighbors, you can build friendships and stuff like that. So that's what about you, Kevin?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I can see the pros and cons of both. People want their dream home, and if they find that, they don't really need to venture too far away. But if you want to go on vacation, that's no longer an option. So I'm going to take moving every 6 months. Just based on this scenario, not what I want to do, but I have to pick one. So moving every 6 months gives me an opportunity. I mean, I didn't even think of it like you did. Just buy the building and just move throughout that. And if you time it right every 6 months, I mean, you could probably have enough, real estate in the building to go 30 years in there. So
right, and then buy the building next door.
And then just keep living the dream. So interesting. Would you rather, Art? Why couldn't you just make it simple like a wolf or a lion last week, getting us thinking here on Happy Friday, America? I'm taking the 6 month moving. I'm going to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Were you unanimous on that?
I think so.
All right. Let us know, America. Are you moving around every 6 months, or are you staying put? Are you going to be a homebody? Don't know. But I'll tell you this, Clint. You have a dog.
I have two.
You have 2 dogs. I don't have any furry friends. I have fishy friends. And this is an interesting article that came out from Nationwide sharing their unusual pet insurance claims of the year. Something I've never really thought about. I mean, pet insurance makes sense. If your dog gets in and eats something, gets fucked up, gets a chicken bone lodged in its throat, something like that, right? Well, these guys came out and said that there has been some very unusual things. They, in fact, named a ham bone award, which was in honor of a dog who ate an entire holiday ham and while he was stuck in a refrigerator. He ate the whole ham, Clint. And so they named it the ham bone award for these kind of outlandish pet claims.
I'm still stuck on on the animal insurance, and it started getting me to segue mentally into animal life insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, if people love their animals like their kids,
They insure it.
then they should insure it with some life insurance. And then, every 10 years you get a payout. That'd be nice.
Do you think that's the way to do it? Is to put life insurance on your pet?
Not financial. I wouldn't do it.
After life planning for the canine?
Oh,
I mean, I know a
pet
lot
insurance is a lot. I mean, for our animals, we take them to the vet every 3 to 5 years, which is not a lot. Like a couple visits in their life.
Yeah. Just get their usual checkups, making sure everything's good.
Not even usual, past the usual checkups, years.
And they're all right.
They're great.
Good old pups just out rolling around in the dirt.
They're living their dog lives because they're animals.
Yeah.
They're not my kids.
And
they're
dog
living
life.
an amazing life.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point. There is a difference between kids and animals, right? I mean, they're still family friends, but we live in a state here in Colorado where people really put their animals almost above their kids. I'm not saying that's right or wrong.
We do.
There's a lot of animal love here in Colorado, and that's fine.
Almost too much.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say it's fine to a point. Yeah, I'm not gonna dog people for how they treat
For how they treat their
animals,
dogs.
but you're borderline half insane. They're not your kids. They're pets. We love them. They're great.
They are.
They fill a gap, but at the end of the day, they're not humans.
No, they're not. And I'm pro balls on a dog. Let's keep the nuts on the dog.
Cut them off.
You think? Chop them?
Yeah, because
I don't know,
people
man.
are just letting their dogs mate, and then all these animals
Well, you see,
go to
yeah,
the
you
shelter.
can't do that. You got to, if you have balls on your dog, you got to be responsible.
Right.
You got to be responsible with balls.
Like, you shouldn't be breeding a bunch of dogs when the shelters are full. You shouldn't go buy. You should adopt, not shop. I mean, but yeah,
I agree with that.
Segues.
You're always going to have people that want that breed, though, and they're going to go out of their way to get it.
I have a half
so.
German Shepherd, half Lab, perfect 50-50 mix.
Good-looking
and
pup.
That was a adoption from a kill shelter.
Yeah.
Our other dog, mostly Border Collie, and people love Border Collies.
Great
but
dog.
also has an 11 different breeds. So
Yeah.
also,
So it's kind of like a mutt.
Yo, for sure. It's like when you mix paint in a bucket.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't fully stir.
You get the
so-
mystery color.
Yeah, so she that you half stirred, so you still see all the colors. So you see
yeah.
all 11 breeds in her. When
That's
you look
pretty
at
cool,
her.
though.
It's interesting. She's got a littler head, bigger body. It's colors, feet. It's crazy.
Have you ever been in a scenario like what we see listed here? I'm not going to go through all the examples. Folks can read this on their own time. But there's a dog here that ate 250 jigsaw puzzle pieces. We got dogs eating rocks out of the garden. Is there anything that your pups have done to receive the Hambone Award?
Our dogs are great. Like, we run them, we exercise them, we fetch it. They don't really cause problems.
Yeah.
I mean, the occasional dig a hole in the backyard type deal, but I've never had a dog eat 250 jigsaw puzzle pieces. You lose the one in the corner.
And he ate it.
But yeah, you just wonder, like, when you're picking that dog poop up, is it like completed in chunks?
It's probably a corner piece, I bet.
Yeah, like a corner piece.
It's got to be the corner piece. That's the one that always gets lost.
Yeah.
Because are you a guy that builds the puzzle with you got to go to the border first, or are you one of those wild ones?
I'm border.
Yeah, you have to, right?
Oh,
You got to have some parameters, some lines, some guidelines.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting story here for all the folks out there insuring their pets. Not something I ever did. I guess there's a huge market for it. I understand it, and it gives us great stories like this. Clint, we're going to keep it moving. We're going to space, baby. SpaceX, our good buddy Elon Musk over there doing some wild things. Mr. Tesla, Mr. SpaceX.
To the moon.
Neuralink. We're going to the moon, baby. We talked last week about Mars. That was a great article, Clint. I don't know if you caught that on Mars with the water. There's so much water in Mars that's inside these rocks. There's enough to fill a mile's worth of ocean deep on Mars. So just incredible stuff. We like the lunar segments here. Curious your thoughts on this, Clint. I know you had a chance to glance at it about as much as I did. They're going to send these guys out pretty much higher than we've been since the 1970s.
To where?
To very high up, to the radiation belt.
Okay.
We're going out there. We're going out for a visit. I say we. SpaceX is going to send 4 people, brave people, I should say, and it's a very risky mission, right? There's a lot of variables here that can go wrong just based on the parameters of how high we're going up to the radiation belt for the first time in a long time.
Where is the radiation belt?
That is a good question that I probably should know the answer to. But it's one of those kind of like last week. There was a lot of lunar space questions that I don't know a lot about. I think it's very fun to talk about, and it's really fun to look at. I just want to know, why haven't we gone up there for a visit since the 70s when the Apollo program ended in the 70s?
It's expensive.
It's very expensive.
But the moon landing did happen.
Very well. You heard it here on Happy Friday America from Clint, the healthy investor Gershenson.
Do you think the moon landing is fake?
I don't really have an opinion.
Okay.
I think it's a fun topic to talk about. I want to believe it's real. Of course, I want to think that beautiful flag over your shoulder is sitting on the moon, and it very well could be. Did we get Buzz Aldrin up there, and Neil Armstrong, and back in a thing that looked like it was held together by rock salt and nails? I don't know. I'm not too sure. I'd like to believe we did, but there's a lot of arguments to say we didn't.
Right.
So I don't know if we want to go into conspiracy hour here on Happy Friday, America, but it's always a fun talking point. And that one seems to be coming up a lot recently, is the moon landing.
I think everything's coming up a lot lately. We're in a new conspiracy-heavy generation.
Yeah.
With news narratives and social media narratives and
Just questioning everything.
Questioning, and then you just have some puppeteer who's like, this will be funny if we tell everyone the earth is flat.
That one's kind of wild.
Yeah, or that this didn't happen. And then you get people so passionate and just
people get excited.
Tough times.
Yeah, they get excited. They get upset about it. They let it, friendships and shit are ruined over it. I think that's silly.
Right.
That's just too much. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I'll tell you this. If I was in this position, I don't think I would volunteer to go out to the radiation belt, Clint. I don't think I'm up for it when it comes to space exploration or going up there. Maybe the ISS. I mean, would you go up there, you think?
So recently I flew back from Iowa and we hit some crazy turbulence and I
That's
almost
fun.
threw up.
Did you really? From turbulence?
Yeah, it was like sideways. Like it was the worst turbulence I've been in. I've been
Wow.
like in a lot
You
of
flew a
different
lot.
airplanes. I've jumped out of some, everything. But yeah, no, I almost threw up. I got like air sick. And this had me rethinking a lot. Space travel's not in the cards. You guarantee there's a lot of turbulence, and I guarantee I'd be barfing
You'd
in
be
my
vomiting?
space suit.
Were you one of those guys that would puke on roller coasters?
I don't like roller coasters at all. I hate them.
Did you hate them as a kid?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
You never went to
I did.
Elitch's here in Denver?
I have, but I used to like stay at the arcade with my dad and stuff
Okay.
like that.
You weren't a big upside down roller coaster
Yeah,
guy?
no, definitely. I've never actually been inverted on a roller
It's a weird
coaster.
feeling.
I've done a lot of the like the ones at Disney that are really basic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good though.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You were kind of an adrenaline junkie back at one time.
Yeah, in a different way.
Very well.
Yeah, but I mean, I've jumped out of planes. I've been in the military. Like,
See, I haven't done that.
I don't want to ever jump again. But you live life and you start getting safer and less risky.
Risk management, Clint. That's
Yeah.
important. We talked about that with your options trading, which is for another show at another time. We're just about out of time here on Happy Friday, America. What do you got going on this weekend, Clint? Anything fun?
Yeah, barbecue for jiu-jitsu, for my kids' jiu-jitsu, and
Nice.
that's about it. I mean, other than that, what about you?
Oh, we got NASCAR coming up, Daytona this weekend. We are running Daytona, 2 races of the playoffs, rain in the forecast, so we're looking a little sketchy there. But for folks that are in the Florida area, you haven't been to Daytona, go out for a visit. So yeah, NASCAR weekend coming up, man. Playoffs are here.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for having me on. It was fun to sit in Arthur's seat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being here, man. Yeah, it's been fun without Art in town. We're doing things different. We usually didn't run any shows without Art. We would just kind of shut it down. But you know what? The show must go on. So thanks for hanging out with me, Clint, and doing some Happy Friday, America. We're going to get on out of here. You folks already know where to find us across the board on social media platforms. Happy Friday USA, of course. Get involved with our Twitter polls and send us an email if you'd like to, give us a would you rather idea, maybe a random record of your own. But let's make sure that that's Guinness verified, of course. We're getting out of here. Fricashin is about to play us out. Enjoy your weekend, America.